Lads, they actually did it. The madmen. They've gone and fucking did it. Type Moon is fucking alive! Man, say what you want about 2021, but if there's one thing I gotta say, it's that being a fan of visual novels has been absolutely insane. Muramasa and Musicus got translated after years of hype. Utawareru Mono released its remake and has a brand new open world spin-off announced for its 20th anniversary. Leaf finally got another translation in the form of White Album 2, which has been way overdue. Key's been releasing, and is still releasing, more new works than any fan could possibly ask for, all which have been brilliant so far. Snow's finally getting a translation after years of complete obscurity, and of course, Type Moon fans finally got the Tsukihime remake after 20 whole years of waiting. A visual novel which blew all of our expectations away in every sense, and god damn did it remind me why I actually kneel to this goddamn mushroom. And you know, I thought that all of that was already pretty damn amazing. Well, it turns out, Type Moon still had more, cause before the year ended, they just gone and did it. You clicked on this video, you know what I'm talking about, it's goddamn happening. After almost 10 years of not being touched by the company, the god-tier kinetic novel Mahoutsukai No Yoru is finally getting an anime adaptation. And it was confirmed just this morning. Guys, please, I'm actually getting overfed at this point. There's obviously a lot of people that are both hyped and worried about this. As while Mahoyo getting an anime film obviously sounds good, there is also the worry that they might butcher this adaptation, and I'll address those concerns later. Because right away, I want to talk about what this anime existing means. Mahoyo getting an anime is incredibly huge, and not just in the sense of, oh, it's a classic Nasuverse work being more accessible. No, this is more. Much more. And I'm here to tell you why Mahoyo getting its anime adaptation is probably one of the best things that has happened to Type Moon's brand in ages. If you didn't already know, Mahoutsukai No Yoru is the first Nasuverse work, period. Yes, while the visual novel was released in 2012, that was actually a remake. Mahoyo initially began as a doujin light novel manuscript written in 1996, and while super obscure, it was and still is the base for the entire Nasuverse as we know of today. Before Kara no Kyokai became Type Moon's first published work, before Tsukihime gave Type Moon recognition in the Eastern visual novel fandom, and before Fate made the franchise the mainstream behemoth it is today, Mahoyo was where all of this madness, ideas, lore, and world all began. And you know what the Nasuverse is known for being for casual fans? Complicated. Look, I love my Type Moon lore, and I'm sure plenty of people watching this do too, but let's be honest for a second. Lots of people don't understand it. They have a surface level understanding of Meigai and their factions, of how magecraft works, and maybe they recognize a few terms here and there, but I think it's fair to say that most people don't know the intricacies to the series and its rules unless you're a more dedicated fan. The reason for this is simple. Stories like Kara no Kyokai, Tsukihime, and Fate, they never really go into depth about the basic building blocks because their stories aren't about the basic building blocks. They didn't invent this world, they're expanding on it, showing their own unique sides of the world that build off what's already there. Yet, almost everyone gets into Type Moon through them, so obviously there's going to be a few missing pieces in terms of understanding how things work. So, where are those missing pieces? Well, they're in the first work of the series, of course. Mahoutsukai no Yoru is a story about magecraft itself in its most basic form. A story that revolves around Meigai specifically, their factions, abilities, and how the magic of their world works. There is a bit of stuff like the church, but they aren't a focus. There is no extra stuff like psychics, vampires, and servants. None of that. You don't need to assume what magecraft is and catch it on the fly, because this is the story that explains it to begin with. This is the foundation. A foundation that surprisingly many Type Moon fans do not have. Mahoyo hasn't been translated for many years, and while Hollow Moon is currently working on a translation, it's still not released. Which means most people don't have these basic building blocks that explains what magecraft is in detail to begin with. But now there's a chance for them to experience that through this new anime. And not only that, but they also get to enjoy a fantastic story that has some of the best characters you could have in this entire series. You may already be familiar with Toko from Kara no Kyokai and Aoko from Tsukihime, but they will get expanded on here in ways that those stories never touched. And once you learn more about their characters here, you'll realize just how rewarding their appearances in future works actually are. I'm serious. The context will change everything about their later appearances. And this isn't even to mention the characters that will finally get introduced to fans like Soujuurou and Alice, who are personally some of my favorite Type Moon characters of all time, and incredible in so many regards. This isn't just important because it's a non-Fate Type Moon work getting adapted. No, this is probably the most important Type Moon work getting adapted, which is why this anime is huge. Now obviously though, getting back to what I said before, there are some people that are very reasonably worried, and I can't blame them. Adapting a visual novel is always hard, especially when you take into account the limited runtime of a film. While Ufotable is already known for adapting Type Moon works, their adaptations always come with huge asterisks. Yes, Ufotable undeniably has god-tier animation and presentation. They are some of the most breathtaking experiences you can have in an anime, but they are often anime that focus on action, and very rarely manage to capture the more intimate and subtler moments of a story, often cutting them out entirely to fit into a specific runtime. Mahoyo is a huge story, even bigger than the Heaven's Feel route, and while I do love the Heaven's Feel trilogy, even I can recognize that those are very much films for existing fans, as they themselves leave a lot out in order to tell the story it needed to in the time it had. So keeping the flaws of the Heaven's Feel trilogy in mind, it's not unreasonable to be worried that Mahoyo might suffer even more. The thing about Mahoyo is, it's not about all the action. In fact, Mahoyo only has about 4 fights and only 2 of them are truly noteworthy. Most of Mahoyo is built on its characters, the slice of life, their lives and daily interaction. That's the beating heart of Mahoyo and what makes it such an effective story. It's these characters, the town they live in, the atmosphere, and the thought-heavy moments that give Mahoyo its heart outside of all the lore. Ufotable has a reputation for not properly adapting a lot of these smaller scenes, so it really remains to see how they will fare this time around. However, with that being said, Mahoyo has a distinct style and usage of lighting that honestly I feel Ufotable is already well equipped to handle. Dare I say, as the person who usually advocates that other studios have done Type Moon anime just as good, if not better, I think for Mahoyo, Ufotable is the studio for the job, at least from a pure visual standpoint. Some people have thought things such as, Mahoyo is such a good-looking visual novel that an anime feels redundant, and honestly, I do see that to an extent since the Mahoyo visual novel is incredible. It uses sprite work to create an animated story with static images, and even other visual novels that do the same thing rarely do it to the same quality outside of maybe the Tsukihime remake. But even then, I'm very open to an anime of it. I think Mahoyo is by far the easiest of the Type Moon visual novels to adapt, and it's a pure linear story with no deviations or choices, as well as solid arcs that begin and end. While I'm not sure how they'd fit it into movies, I hope it's less like Heaven's Feel and more like Kara no Kyokai, in that they make a movie series that can properly adapt things arc by arc with as much time as they see fit. With all that in mind though, it doesn't change the fact that I am super excited to see this movie. This adaptation is going to make it accessible to so many new fans, and with this basis, I can only hope that Type Moon's fanbase will expand further, as they slowly make more and more entries to make a truly thriving universe. Honestly though, I'm just so happy to see Mahoyo back. Like, after 9 whole years of silence and the company focusing so much on Fate specifically, we get to see not only Tsukihime return in 2021, but also Mahoyo. This is a truly special return to form for Type Moon, and only bodes well for the future. Who knows, we might finally get those Mahoyo sequels now, or even see Type Moon returning to previous abandoned works such as Girls' Work or Mahoutsukai no Yoru. Either way, the future seems a lot brighter for Type Moon, and as a fan, I can't wait to see where it goes next. I hope that, as fellow fans, you'll all join me in the excitement, as we can anticipate whatever new things the company chooses to make next. So for now, to the next 10 years. And hopefully, let's actually mean it this time.